Hi guys, Sarah here and welcome to Novel Expectations. Today I'm coming to you with my 27th weekly wrap-up of 2016. So let's start off with how I'm doing on my challenges. According to Goodreads, I am still 6 books ahead of schedule, which is great. For my summer book bingo, I am now at 6 out of 25 books read, so it's not too shabby. For my A to Z Authors Challenge, 18 out of 26. A to Z Titles Challenge, 17 out of 26. My 2016 How Many Pages goal, I have now read 15,937 pages out of 25,000 pages, which puts me at 63% complete. Awesome. Jelly Belly Jelly Bean Challenge, no flavors completed, and for my Listopia Challenge, I'm still on level 1, but I've read 7 out of the 25 books, so that's pretty good. So let's get into the books that I finished this week because one I really want to talk about. The first book that I finished this week was Missoula, Rape and the Justice System in a College Town by Jon Krakauer. I gave this book 3.5 stars. It was an extremely difficult read. I can't stress that enough. As a victim, it was even more difficult, I think. He doesn't shy away from anything. Pretty much it's in very clinical terms, you're in the room while these assaults are taking place, essentially, but in very clinical terms. And it's hard to read, very difficult to read, again, as a victim, and, especially as a victim, but I think even as someone who may not have experienced this. It was a very interesting book, and just because I gave it 3.5 stars does not mean I didn't like it. I can't say I enjoyed it because it wasn't a book that you're meant to enjoy. Does that make sense? I think I said in a video last week, I was doing a Tuesday Talks, that every book is for entertainment. This held no entertainment value for me at all. It was strictly, these are the facts. It was like reading a really long newspaper article on these rapes and these assaults that took place in this college town. Now, some of the names are pseudonyms, and he denotes that in the book, but a lot of them are real. Like, everybody's a real person, and this stuff really happened. It's just whether they chose to give their own names or not. My personal background with this really influenced the way I read this book, and I will be honest with you guys, for like the last half of the book, I ended up pretty much skimming pages because it was that difficult for me to get through. I was one of the fortunate few, if I can use that terminology, that back when this happened to me, I got my day in court. I got to sit up on the stand and pretty much tell it how it happened or what happened. And that is extremely hard for an individual, and I don't think until you've been through that you understand how difficult that actually is. And just recently, it was interesting, as I was driving in the car to work one day, they had this commercial on a public service announcement type of idea, and it's called, it's hashtag it's not okay, and I guess it's trending on Twitter, or it was. I don't know where it is. I'm in Southern Ontario, so I don't know whether that's like everywhere, but pretty much in this little public service announcement, it was talking about the fact that you are more likely to be convicted or charged for making an illegal U-turn than you are for committing rape. You are more likely to be given a ticket or charged for walking your dog without a leash. And they listed all these things, and it's frightening. It is so difficult to convict something like this without a lot of evidence because it's essentially, it breaks down to a he said, she said. And, I think personally, and I was reading something on Goodreads, and I saw somebody else posted this, and when I thought about it after, I agreed 100%. I really think that this book needs to be read by every kid in high school, male and female, juniors, seniors, whatever, or at least parts of it. Use this as, use what's taught in here in a way, and learn from others. Again, I would never ever say that anybody was asking for it, anybody deserved it, because that's never the case. I don't care what you're wearing. I don't care how much you were drinking. I don't care any of that. That doesn't matter. It's not okay. No matter what. But I think there are ways to stay safe. And I think that that is what needs to be drilled into the heads of especially girls, but boys too, just so they know. Because irregardless whether it's rape you're talking about or anything, it could be a bunch of people beating you up and stealing from you. Kids need to learn to stay safe. When they go off to college, it's probably their first time on their own, away from home. And, we teach them how to manage their money. We teach them how to drive. We teach them all these things. But they need to really know how to stay safe because it's frightening. And as I was reading through each of these case studies, I just kept thinking to myself, it would, if these girls had known where they were. I mean, again, I'm not saying this would have prevented anything, but it would have helped in the long run. Do you know what I mean? For example, almost all of the cases, the girls ended up being in places that they didn't know where they were. Now, there were a couple who were in their own dorm rooms when it took place, but some of the girls were at parties that, when they call for help, they don't know where they are. And I know nowadays it's a little bit different because, everybody's cell phone has GPS. So, you call 911 from here, I'm pretty sure that the police can find you. But irregardless, it still should be something that you know. If you're going to a party with people you don't know, find out where it's going to be, find out who's going to be there. It's just being responsible. Again, it's not necessarily going to prevent, and just because you went to that party does not mean that you were asking for it, because you were not. But the fact of the matter is you need to stay safe. Again, please don't think that I'm saying that anybody would ever deserve it, because I've been there. I was at that party. I was drinking. Yes, I did all those things that I'm saying you shouldn't do. But again, I know from experience that if I was to go back now and talk to myself 20 years ago, this is what I would have said to her. And the other thing that they harped on in this book, which I found very interesting, is that they did case studies on rapists. And 80 to 90% of rapes happen with someone the person knew. It wasn't somebody walking, down a dark alley and some guy in a hood jumps out from the shadows with a knife. No, it's somebody they knew and may have known for quite some time. So anyway, I've talked enough about this. Read this book. If you have teenagers, read this book. If you don't think maybe your teenagers should read it, you as a parent maybe should, and take away from it what you will. So once I finished that book, I really needed something to clear my brain. Because, like I said, that was extremely difficult, and I did not expect this book review, or this wrap up to be dark. So I hope it's not too much for you guys. But the next book I decided to pick up was The Babysitter's Club book number 4, which was Marianne Saves the Day by Ann M. Martin. I really, really needed a palate cleanse after that. I just needed to shut the brain off and read something so fluffy and so much fun. This is one of my favorite books in the series, where the girls kind of really come on their own. There's a big fight between the babysitters, and Marianne is left to kind of fend for herself when one of her charges gets sick and ends up having to take the little girl to the hospital, and then, of course, everything else goes on. But it's a really, really cute little story. I really did enjoy it. It was nice rereading it, and I have to say, this is one of my favorite covers, for the sole fact of Marianne. If you look at the Babysitter's Club covers, a lot of them, the girls look to be about 19 or 20 years old in the pictures. In this one, she looks about 12 or 13, and I think she's absolutely adorable. And I really, really love these older covers because the girls do look their age, and I think that's fantastic. But anyway, this was a great story. It was a really great palate cleanse. I needed it after reading Missoula, and yeah, I am just loving reading this series again. So what am I currently reading? I am currently listening to To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, narrated by Sissy Spacek. I'm about 6 hours from finishing it. I am actually listening to it at 2 times speed. I found that I was able to speed it up a bit. I haven't had a lot of reading time this week in the car, like listening time in the car, because it's been a really busy week for me, and I've just been trying to, my mind hasn't been on that during my drive to and from work because it's been month end and it's been, like I said, busy. So, like I said, it's only 6 hours left, but I am listening to it at 2 times speed, so technically I've only got 3 hours left. I'm hoping to get it done by Monday or Tuesday, so that shouldn't be too bad. And the other book that I'm currently reading is A Tyranny of Petticoats, edited by Jessica Spotswood. 15 stories of belles, bank robbers, and other badass girls. I'm really kind of enjoying this. The The first story was my least favorite so far. I've only read 3. And I noticed on Goodreads a lot of people were saying the same thing. I didn't care for the first story. The second story was a little bit better, and this third one's been a little bit better too. So far they're not too bad. The book is actually listed through in chronological order. So the oldest story, which is like 17 something, is first, and then the last story takes place in the 1960s. So far this is really cute. As I go through, and I have to remember to do that after I record, is after I'm done each story, I'm going to list in the review section on Goodreads for my review for this, and post the name of the story and the star rating that I gave it. And then at the very end, when I review this for you guys in full next week, I will have a overall rating, or a, I'm pretty much going to do like a math thing where you add them and then divide them and do something and figure out my star rating for this. An average. That's the word I'm looking for, is an average rating. It's been a long day already. So yeah, I am kind of enjoying this. It's odd for me to be reading YA because it's not something I typically pick up, but I am enjoying it and I'm glad I'm reading it. So anyway, guys, that's it for me this week. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books, or your thoughts on them, or your thoughts about anything that I talked about in this episode. And again, I do apologize if it tended to be a little darker or more depressing than normal. We will be back to our regularly scheduled happy books next week. So until then, guys, take care and happy reading. Bye.